For my legal, insurance, and risk professionals out there, if you're still thinking about OpenAI as the company that created ChatGPT, that large language model that creates fake cases to include in your legal writings, well, it's time for a major update. 2015 to 2017, well, those were the early years of OpenAI. It was founded by Elon Musk and Sam Altman as a nonprofit organization originally, and their goal was to ensure that artificial general intelligence, or AGI, benefited humanity. Now they have established themselves, OpenAI has, as the most prominent player in the industry. First, because they were truly first to market with an industry-wide tool that could be used, ChatGPT. Then DALL-E, D-A-L-L-E, the ability to take text and turn that into images, use your words to create a picture. Well, now they have introduced something else, and that something is a voice engine. You see, OpenAI has now created a voice engine that's capable of taking a 15-second audio sample and creating a very convincing voice. In my estimation, it is more convincing than even 11 Labs, which is another hot contender in the AI speech department. Well, OpenAI, according to their website, has started with a small group to test and develop this technology to see use cases so they can understand how it can best be used in a positive way. And OpenAI does claim to be taking it slow with this technology, releasing it to a small group of trusted partners to see how they're going to use this technology in different applications and environments. Well, before I talk about the challenges, it's important to note that this technology, the ability to have a voice engine like this, does have a lot of benefit for humanity. One of the beneficial applications OpenAI lists is to provide reading assistance, and I can see how this could be certainly helpful to humanity. To help both non-readers, people who don't know how to read, this could be small children or perhaps those who are older, who were not provided with an education, to be able to take that text, put it through this software and have it read to you, but not just read to you. I think we've all heard some of these computer voices that can read text, but that text, when it's read, doesn't sound right. It sounds artificial. It sounds synthetic. It sounds like a computer. Well, I'm going to show you in a moment how natural sounding, emotive, realistic the voice can sound with this voice engine developed by OpenAI. And the benefit is easy to see. I think we've all heard that computer voice read something. It sounds synthetic. It sounds artificial, and it doesn't capture the heart and soul of something that's been written, especially by a human. Having a voice that can read emotive, emotionally, have depth and impact and understand meter and phrasing and the rest, that can have a much greater impact on your ability both to retain that information and also to understand it correctly in the first place. As with many things, the content matters. The content is super important, but the delivery can be just as impactful in helping a student understand something, or to retain that information in the long term. It is easier to recall and remember things that are memorable, that are pleasant to listen to. All right, so let's get ready. Let's warm those ears up, make sure they're good and ready to listen, because OpenAI has provided a reference audio of a human speaking, 15 seconds, and then they have converted that into generated synthetic audio with 5 different topics. So let's take a listen and let's judge together, does this sound like a human or does this sound synthetic? Okay, first we're gonna listen to the reference audio. Remember, the reference audio refers to a human voice that's been recorded, human speech. So we have 15 seconds of that. Then that audio has been used to create synthetic speech with different words, okay? So first we're gonna listen to that reference audio, then we're gonna listen to the generated audio using that voice print.
Force is a push or pull that can make an object move, stop, or change direction. Imagine you're riding a bike down a hill. First, the push you give off the ground is the force that gets you going.
Okay, that was our human voice, our reference audio. Now we're going to compare that to the generated audio. I'll include a section of that reference audio in between these clips so we can refresh our ears. I just want to reiterate that all these samples we're about to hear were created using a 15-second sample, a 15-second data set of a person's voice. A flashback, my college professor really drilled into me the importance of the proper use of language. So you can't really call this a data set because there's only one piece of information being used to create these synthetic recordings. So we have a datum, a single recording that's being used to generate these. Okay, let's listen to the first synthetic or generated audio, the one labeled biology.
Some of the most amazing habitats on Earth are found in the rainforest. A rainforest is a place with a lot of precipitation, and it has many kinds of animals, trees, and other plants. Tropical rainforests are usually not too far from the equator and are warm all year.
Maybe we'll learn something too while we go through all these. Okay, so that's our synthetic. Let's refresh our ears with a reference.
Force is a push or pull that can make an object move, stop, or change direction. Imagine you're riding a bike down a hill. First, the push you give off the ground is the force that gets you going.
Okay, let's do the next two, generated, and then we'll come back and refresh our gears. Once again, ears, not gears, with that reference audio.
This story has been told and retold for thousands of years. What is the central message that it is teaching?
Chemistry.
Salt also makes sure we stay hydrated, which means there is enough water in our body for it to properly function.
Okay, let's do our reference again.
Force is a push or pull that can make an object move, stop, or change direction. Imagine you're riding a bike down a hill. First, the push you give off the ground is the force that gets you going.
If I didn't know the difference, I'd be having a real struggle to tell which was real and which wasn't right now. Let's see if math and physics hold true to the same.
Let's make the parts the same by adding 1 to 3. Have you ever wondered why a soccer ball soars through the air the way it does, or how a skateboarder manages to stay on their board while flipping it? It's all about the science of how objects move, called physics. First, the push you give off the ground is the force that gets you going. Then, as you speed up, gravity, another natural force, pulls you down the hill. Finally, when you brake, the force of friction between the bike's brake pads and the tires slows you down.
That sounds great. Let's do the reference one more time.
Force is a push or pull that can make an object move, stop, or change direction. Imagine you're riding a bike down a hill. First, the push you give off the ground is the force that gets you going.
I mentioned earlier that I do think that this is going to be better than 11 Labs, at least as 11 Labs is currently. I think OpenAI is ahead of the game. If this sample, what we have here on their website that they're showing us, is representative of how it is in every application or in every use. With 15 seconds, that was really good audio. Good enough that by listening alone, I don't think you'd be able to determine if it was human or not. It's going to require a forensic examination, looking at this data visually and things like a spectrogram and doing other forensic processes and using applications designed specifically for this to identify if these are fake or real. So I've given my disclaimer. I do think this technology is going to be beneficial for humanity in many ways, but it also represents significant challenges, especially for those of us in investigative roles like digital forensics, in legal professions, risk managers, and insurance professionals who are dealing with claims. The reality is, in the future, we're going to have to do additional work to authenticate to see if audio evidence is reliable. I mean, we can imagine a scenario where you go to court and a crucial piece of audio evidence is disputed. Imagine a scenario where there are claims of evidence tampering. Whether that actually happened or not, it's going to create many situations in court where audio evidence, potentially critical audio evidence, is going to have to go through additional steps of authentication to determine that it's reliable and can be used as evidence. Simply because the ability to create AI-generated fakes that are highly convincing exists. We see this isn't only about what could happen, the ifs and buts and maybes. This is about what is already happening right now, which is demonstrated in a recent case example.
Now to a bizarre case involving the use of artificial intelligence in Maryland. Police say a former athletic director used artificial intelligence to frame a high school principal near Baltimore. Dazone Darian allegedly created a recording that made it sound like the principal was going on a racist rant. Investigators say that Darian was angry over the principal investigating his potential mishandling of school funds.
If you were hoping for more time to prepare for these challenges, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but time's up. When you receive digital evidence of any form, especially when we're talking about things that can be generated using generative AI, stay frosty.